Ja, hallo, hier ist Michael Adams für Stock-Telegraph. Ich bin in Vancouver auf der Vancouver Resource Investment Conference 2015. Heute ist Montag, der 19. Januar und ich freue mich außerordentlich, dass ich Yale Simpson bei mir habe von Exeter Resources. Exeter habe ich ja bereits schon seit, ich glaube, 6, 7, 8 Jahren auf meiner Watchlist und es ist aber das erste Mal, dass ich wirklich die Chance habe, mit Yale persönlich zu sprechen. So Yale, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. Actually, I'm covering Exeter for at least 6 or 7 years right now, but it's the first time that I have the chance to talk to you on video. So thank you very much for this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay.
So Exeter is trading on the American Stock Exchange and the symbol is XRA, and also on the big board in Toronto and the symbol is XRC. Let's recap the last couple of months. I was caught by surprise when Bryce and you handed over the helm at Exeter to Wendell Zerb, who used to be a mining analyst for Canaccord Research, because I always thought that it's your baby. So how did you come up with this decision? Was that more a personal decision or was it a business decision? And how are your personal feelings about this?
Well, I haven't changed responsibilities, right? So I was chairman before, now I'm co-chairman. Right. So my role hasn't changed at all. In a way, Wendell works for me, okay? And Bryce, of course, is co-chairman, so Wendell works for him too. So there really hasn't been any change. What you're doing is looking at the day-to-day running of the company has moved from Bryce to Wendell. And the reason we did that is because Wendell has a really good skill set for advancing a development stage project. Remember, Bryce and I were the explorers we found things in Argentina, we did the X-Story, we found Caspice, we're explorers. Wendell has a far better skill set than we have for taking Caspice forward. So we said, let's use his skill set. We moved up above him, so he's got 4 eyes looking at him. Right. But really, things haven't changed. I mean, we're quite delighted. Ask Bryce, he will tell you he's delighted to have Wendell doing what he's doing. Because Wendell is probably doing better at what he's doing than what Bryce could have.
Okay, yeah, and I had the pleasure to talk to Wendell, I think, at the Denver Gold Show, and I was also very much impressed from his knowledge and also his really extended network in the community. And
that network is important because when you look at, well, we'll talk later. I think you mentioned that you want to talk to me about where we're going, so let's defer that. Go to your next thought.
Okay,
we'll
perfect.
Come back to that.
Taking a look at the market right now, cash position of Exeter is around
just under 30 million.
30 million, and the
That's
market,
Canadian,
Canadian dollars, and the market cap
is 65.
65. So let me ask you a question. The ounces at Caspice, they are still in the ground. So that's around 35 million ounces gold equivalent.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this gives you a value, or the market is valuing 1 ounce of gold equivalent in the ground at below or around $1.
That's right, dollar. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's not a very pleasant situation for the company to be in, okay? Because, before we had all these ounces, we had a lot higher valuation than we do now. Right. And what it reflects is people's perception as to when Exeter will go into play in a way. When an investor can say, hey, Exeter is the next duck in a row for a deal. I mean, today we saw Probe being taken over by Gold Corp. Right. Okay. If there was some inclination in the market that sort of transaction was happening within Chile, then people will say, okay, now we're going to see Exeter rewarded for those ounces. Okay. Right. So right now, because we've said in Exeter, well, we're drilling for the water. Water's critical for the project. Well, if that is true, then if you're doing anything to move for the company forward, you better get the water first. Yeah. Even M&A activity, joint ventures, financings, anything would depend on that water. Right. And so we played down all the M&A kind of noise that surrounds many of these advanced companies like ours to say, we want to get this water, we have the money, and we'll be in Q1 of this year saying, what are we now going to do? Okay. And we can talk about the future of the company. Yeah,
because as I remember, years back, Exeter was kind of a pure takeover play, right? So you have Barrick and Kinross right next door, but as we all know, those companies have their own problems right now. So this fantasy is a little bit out of the market. And then there was kind of a gap in the market because they didn't know what Exeter's going to do. And then Wendell came up with these, together with you guys, with this, I think, really good plan that you can bring Kaspish into production. And 3 different models, like just the oxide, and we don't have to go into detail. And there's this perception that Exeter might go into production for fairly low capex is putting some pressure on the shoulders of whoever might want to take you out.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about that sort of things because I don't want to signal something that's inappropriate and I can get slapped by the regulators for signaling anything. But just talking about the M&A market in general, right? If you look at the one that was done with Gold Corp today in Probe Mines, that's a strategic acquisition to extend the mine life in an existing project, okay? So it makes all sorts of sense, okay? Because you have an existing producer with a need, okay? So those kinds of deals where you're either seeing a project that's ready to go or a built one, most of the M&A activity is around production. Now, when we see gold price move higher, then you'll see it go down the food chain, it'll go into the developers, and then it'll go down to the explorers, right? So in the context of any M&A environment, you got to kind of look and say, and Exeter, where does Exeter sit strategically in the global takeover scene? And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll get myself in way too much trouble.
No, that's fine. Just mentioning. I also see that the M&A activity is heating up a bit, especially on the producer end. One of the other companies I'm covering is Bayfield Ventures, and they just have been bought out by New Gold. So I think it's a pretty good chance. But again, that's my humble opinion.
That's his opinion. So, I'm not commenting.
Anyway, I think you're following the right strategy. Even right now, I don't see it's giving you the right value in the market, but that's again my.
Well, no, I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so but you can't just sit and wait until you're taking over. So what's going on behind the scenes? What are the plans for moving forward in 2015?
Yeah, well, I mentioned water. Okay, we have had success in water, and you can look at our press releases talking about water, and we are continuing with our water program. We will continue to drill some more holes. Why? Because in Chile, the strategy is, because you find water, and you have a 2-year period to find water in Chile, then that period expires and you have no more rights to look for water. All you can do then is develop the water you found. Or apply for the rights to develop it. So, and then the government may or may not give you 10%, 50%, 100% of that water. It depends on what they feel the quality of your reservoir is, what its recharge rates, all sorts of technical things, and what might be future demand for that water. So it's our strategy that the more water we find that might be vastly in excess of what we need gives us a better likelihood of the government granting us all the water we need and more. Because once they grant you that water, it's yours. It's a right to water. In Chile, people buy and sell water rights. So we're continuing to expand our program. We want to have very large amount of success in defining water that will better underpin the future of the project. So, because some people say, well, I think you have enough water. So what do you keep doing?
I was of the same opinion. I thought now they have secured the water, it's kind of checked.
We want to get the rights to exploit all of that water, not just to look for it. So that will carry us through this quarter. It'll move into the second quarter of this year. I shouldn't say next year. And then the decision for the company is, are we going to final feasibility, which signals an intent to build? Or are you going to pursue some other? Do you need to buy time? Are you going to joint venture it? Are you going to sell the company? But we will get, in the first half of this year, to a point where the company must decide whether they're going to be a producer or a seller.
And how much more are you going to spend on this water exploration?
I think we're probably spending another $1.5 million out of beyond our existing budget.
So you're still pretty cashed up.
And we're not being frivolous with our money. It's a strategic move to take the company forward.
So thank you very much. That was a really, really good upgrade. Really interesting. I hope that I will be able to touch base with you again at the PDAC, which comes up in 2 months. Maybe some more results where we can talk about. And good luck for your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ja, das war sehr interessant. Also gerade das Thema Wasser hatte ich so gar nicht verstanden, dass man halt eigentlich mehr Wasser suchen und finden muss, weil nur ein Teil davon nachher durch die chilenische Regierung dann dem Unternehmen zugesprochen wird. Und Wasser ist wirklich einer der kritischen Faktoren in Chile. Also ich bin sehr gespannt, wie das Jahr 2015 für Exeter weitergeht. Ich selber bin weiterhin ein großer Unterstützer der Company. Ja, ich bin von der Seriosität des Managements sehr stark überzeugt seit Jahren. Das Projekt steht außer Frage und natürlich hat man wie alle anderen Companies die ein oder andere Schwierigkeit, aber da man noch um die 30 Millionen kanadische Dollar Cash hat, kann man auch so eine schwierige Zeit sicherlich gut aussitzen. Also weiterhin die Exeter nachkaufen oder zumindest nochmal auf die Watchlist packen, informieren sich mehr über das Unternehmen. Ich glaube, dass wir da mittel- bis langfristig wirklich einen Vervielfacher gefunden haben. Vielen Dank.